brothers?
Doesn't look like.
Hi.
Hey!
Yeah,
Hey! Hello.
Hi.
How are you
How's
all
it going?
doing? Very well. How are you?
Whoa.
There's a lot of people in that
started
room.
Seeing your camera, there's so many of you.
They've all staged for you. Because it certainly
just
isn't for
like-
me.
It just takes one to drive the bus.
We have all
Last
these other
time
people.
you all had us on last year, we went about 45 seconds without Justin dropping an F-bomb. So let's see if we can maybe bump that up to at least 2 minutes this time around.
I'm going to give it 3.5.
Oh,
Yeah, that's probably
I can do
that's
that.
Okay. Let's do it. I love the way that this has framed you two. It's very Brady Bunch.
So you guys can't see this, but on our screen we have Travis and Griffin, one on top of each other in smaller boxes, and yeah,
Yeah, there you go. Yeah.
and Justin living large on the side there.
Yeah, loving it. I'm the oldest. It's the only thing fair.
I
Awesome.
think I've made the terrible mistake of like I have two monitors and so I have the Skype call over here and I pulled up the Desert Bus for Hope page over here so I could see what it looks like. But now I'm just looking at myself with a 10-second delay and trying to catch myself.
Well, you're looking good.
Yeah.
I'm gonna have to close that.
Yeah.
Too distracting.
Can you guys give yourselves a quick introduction here for anybody who might not know who you are? Although I think everybody here knows who you are.
Yeah, I'm Justin's younger brother and Griffin's older brother.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, and that's Travis. We do a bunch of podcasts, and Justin and I also work at Polygon, the video game vertical.
Griffin, you say podcast, but we're so much more. We're really trying to reinvent our brand as like a transmedia experience. I expected everyone to laugh uproariously. I seem to have pushed my brand too hard, and now I seem like the sort of person that would say that in earnest. So the brand, I was attempting to temper the brand, and the brand has been shattered. There is no more brand.
The brand is garbage.
It's a fine brand. It's a fine brand. Yeah, you guys called in last year. We had a ton of fun. Had a whole bunch of really great questions from the chat, and I think that's probably what we'll do again this year. Really quickly though, let's start in the room. Does anybody in the room have any questions for any of these fine boys?
I have a question.
Go ahead.
Hello, sirs. My name's Madeline, and I'm an avid listener of pretty much every podcast in your family, oeuvre. So much so that my first ink is actually a bracer.
Cool.
Yeah. So I love you guys. Anyway, my question was because I'm a really big fan of the Adventure Zone and of course the Balance arc. Listening to the new Commitment arc, it's been so much fun and it's been going really, really well. And I find that like I'm now wanting you to expand more on that. But now you have two more sort of like trials to do with like completely different storylines. Do you think it's going to be difficult to choose just one to expand on?
I think that when we were sort of positioning this, I think at first when we talked about following up Balance, we were talking about like experimenting with a few different things and then finding one that worked and sort of sticking with that. And that may still happen, but I think that we will have a pretty clear idea of what the second quote unquote like season of the Adventure Zone will be when we start it, because what we want to avoid is we don't want it to be a scenario where people feel like they need to make their voices heard and really fight for the arc that they like to become.
We'll get nasty with each other. Like,
yeah, right.
We'll take care of that behind closed doors.
And that's already going to be like a pretty sensitive sort of discussion, you know, like and I think it's one that we need to sort of figure out and feel what makes the most sense. That said, I really like this arc so far that we're doing. The superhero thing is fun, and it's tough trying to, I feel like we're just starting to barely find our footing.
Yeah,
But
so
I think it's fun too, because I like the idea of when we roll into whatever our next like major arc is, we will also then have all of these possibilities and outlets for stuff like live shows and one-off adventures, and we can circle back to things, and it just provides us this like wealth of opportunities for, you know, expansion in different directions whenever we want, rather than just like, because that was the thing, I loved doing Balance, but it was a linear story. There was an end to it, you know what I mean? It had a beginning, middle, and an end, whereas these new arcs, it's like we can circle back to them and make it more episodic whenever we want to.
Yeah,
Totally.
so if you've never listened, we do a podcast called The Adventure Zone, which is an actual play podcast, and we had one big long story that we told over 3 years that we played D&D, and that's called the Balance campaign, and now we're trying out other stuff. But I think I think it'll be tricky. I think Dad has already expressed some regret that like he's built this whole comic book world because he's the one running this mini arc that we're in now, and that, you know, eventually we'll move on from that, and you know, there's a lot more we could do. So if there's a lot more we can do, we'll find a way to make something happen with it. But I think we're recording the last episode of that like next week, and then we're gonna move on to the next thing, and I'm very excited to find out what that's gonna be, because we don't know yet.
Yeah, we should talk about
responsible.
that. We should figure that out, what the next one's gonna be. We'll talk about it off mic.
I'm sure you guys will figure out something fantastic. I can't wait to hear what's next. Thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you.
Awesome. Anybody else have a question?
Do
Take a mic.
yeah. Hey guys.
Okay.
So this is kind of just a kind of like a productivity question, because like this year I was able to quit doing like my regular job and go like full time on like streaming and content creation and stuff, and I was wondering, because like that's between like what you guys do and balancing, you know, like being dads and all that kind of jazz, how do you structure your guys' days in terms of like content creation and family matters and all that kind of jazz?
The truth is that, I mean, it obviously got more complicated once we had kids. But like, this is a thing that I've been working from home for a decade now. Basically started when Justin and I were working at Joystick at AOL. And it has taken me a decade to like figure it out, because if you don't have anybody sort of like looming over you with a, you know, specific schedule and demands, it can be really easy to just say like, oh well, Skyrim just came out on Switch, so I'm probably just going to do that.
I love that you asked me this question, by the way, like as my dog started barking and my baby started picking up trash and putting it in her mouth.
I was like,
I just stepped away from the camera to go quiet my dog and rescue my baby.
I was like, oh man, I struck a nerve there with
It's just like it's just kind of nonstop is the truth of it, and you kind of have to be okay with not getting everything done that you need to get done in a given day. Right now I have 7 Post-it notes. My new system is I write down like a reminder of things I want to try to knock out at the beginning of the day on Post-it notes, then take them down. And I've got 7 here, and there's no way that all of these are going to happen. Oh, by the way, I can get rid of the Desert Bus one.
My to-do list right now.
I know what you're thinking, Griffin. Certainly there's a way of doing the system that is less painful to the environment, but the answer is
They're really
no.
small. They're
Someday computers will be invented.
They're very small Post-it notes. It's not much.
Okay.
It's not much.
The best advice I can give is to try to create boundaries for yourself, and those can be with like time. Like I have a pretty hard out every day at 5:30, and I don't schedule stuff outside of that, because that's the time that I do my business, and the rest of the time is I'm with my family. I also put on like real pants and a real shirt when I'm going to go work. See, they both nodded. Like,
It's like, no, that's the
when
one.
you start working from home is like sweatpants every day. Say sweatpants every day. But if you do that, you like sweatpants are work kryptonite.
That was Liz Gilbert who gave us that
Yes.
a few years ago.
That's
That
right.
really turned my life around.
Yeah, you gotta put on get dressed and get ready for the muse to meet you.
on the other side of that too, I mean, along the lines of Griffin's point, I've been trying to work harder to figure out what is stuff that actually fits on a schedule that I have to do by a certain time and date, versus what is stuff I've convinced myself I need to get done in a window that is like overpacked and frustrating. So like if I schedule a thing for myself and then I realize like, wait, I could just do that tomorrow. There's nothing pressing about this. And the day is overpacked, and like giving yourself permission to move stuff around. Because I always end up when I make my to-do list, like everything's on Monday and I have nothing scheduled on Friday because I'm trying to get everything done. But it just, time doesn't work like that.
It's a mess. It's a mess no matter what. You kind of have to learn to like harness that mess and just ride it. Ride the mess into the future.
Awesome.
Perfect. Thank you so much.
All right, let's look at some of the chat questions here. It's clear that you three play off each other incredibly well and have a great working relationship, but how do you handle it when you have to carry a performance or a recording by yourself?
This is before pretty much every live show. One of us looks at another one of us is like, you gotta carry this one. And it's never true, and it sends us into a panic spiral because I don't think that ever works. Like I really don't think that one person trying to take on the brunt of it works, because the only good stuff that we make happens when we work to like build an idea or a goof to higher heights.
Now, if you're asking like on a solo project, like if it's just one of us presenting something to a crowd or something like that,
yep,
it's inherently like I think the first thing I can remember like standing up and presenting without Justin and Griffin there was at Woodstock at San Diego Comic-Con one year, and I hadn't realized like how spoiled I had gotten to have like Justin and Griffin there, because like when you're working with someone, it's a bit of a safety net, because you know that like even if you say something dumb and unfunny, they can respond to it in a funny way and build off of that. And also just knowing that there's two other people there with you, or one other person there with you, because I do live shows with my wife and my other partners as well. Standing up in front of a crowd by yourself as yourself is one of the most terrifying things I've ever done in my life.
Yeah, people talk about like trust being an important facet in collaborative comedy. And in my mind, like this is the most important sort of aspect of that, which is that like I suffer from horrible like stage fright, I guess, and performance anxiety. Not that kind, but like actual literal performance anxiety. And
words mean things, Griffin. Words mean things.
The only way that like I'm able to like do it is that I trust that if I start to screw up, then Travis and Justin can pick the ball up and keep running with it, and then when they start to falter, we can help them out too. Like it's honestly like it's the biggest benefit of us being family and having known each other and been tried to be funny together our entire lives, is that trust is so, because you have to have that trust in any sort of partnership or comedy team, and for us, like we had that guaranteed before we even sort of started doing podcasts in the first place.
The closest parallel, I think, is us working without profanity, because our good friend Profanity is always there for us.
The fourth brother.
The fourth brother, Profanity.
What we done, we built a rickety tripod bound together with Profanity.
Profanity is the vines that we've harvested from trees to make our little raft, our impromptu raft, float down the rivers of performance. And when you're robbed of that fourth brother, you lack the ability to shout profanity and really elevate otherwise floundering section.
And then we'll just leave a bit of silence here for a minute. I love this question. With all the travel you've been doing together and with your dad for your shows, have you found yourselves falling into any old travel habits or traditions from childhood road trips?
Jeez.
I think there's been an inversion, I think, where like our dad was in a very dadly manner, sort of the one who always had to like take charge, and now he's more like, apps, who's got my boarding pass? And that we have to like shepherd him from location to location. I think he also enjoys it a lot more now. I don't remember Dad having a lot of fun on vacations before, but now that Dad doesn't have to sweat anything, I think he has a much better time than we do.
This year we started working with Paul Saborin from the band Paul and Storm. Yep. It was fantastic, and he offered he was like, hey, you three are premium demos, and there's things that I could help out with on the road. And he genuinely has been extremely helpful, and there's so much stuff that we used to stress over. In addition to stressing about actually performing and doing the show, for a while it was just like the three of us out there by ourselves, just trying to manage everything ourselves, and it was a little bit too much. And so we basically hired another dad.
Yeah,
we hired
our tour daddy.
Our tour daddy, who like actually knows what's up. So that's been helpful.
I would say that the thing that has come back to the service in a big way for us when we all travel together. There's this thing that happens, and we call it being on the case. And it's when like you decide like I have to find the most clear time I remember is my dad decided I think we were going to go to like Steak and Shake or something, and we were on vacation and we were probably like 9, 12, and 15. And we started driving around and couldn't find it. We were passing by all these other restaurants, and we would point them out and be like, "I'm happy to eat there." And Dad was like, "Nope, we're going to Steak and Shake." And like you get on the case, and it's like that's what we're doing. And we do that a lot now. Where like we just rode on a train, like big boys, and in getting there, we all started to like really. We have to get there now. And then we got there and everything was fine. But like we kind of all feed into each other's like one-track mind of accomplishing things, which can be good, but it also can lead to driving around for hours looking for a Steak and Shake.
Fair enough. Got a D&D question here. How long did it take you to get comfortable with D&D? I'm assuming playing with your actual family helped, but was it ever super awkward or weird? I find myself getting nervous when it comes to actually talking in character or messing up a role. How do I get over that anxiety?
Justin, I feel like you're the best one to talk about this, because I think you were pretty nervous to do role playing in a podcast format before we got started.
Yeah, it's I think in a way it's maybe, I don't know, at the outset it was maybe more it was maybe a little more difficult to do it with family, because there's such closeness there. Like we know each other so well that it made me feel slightly sillier to like try to like not perform, but like try to it's hard. We've been doing my brother and me for 4 years when we started Taz, and if I have the math right, I think I do. And then we had been brothers for as long as Griffin's been alive. So there was a challenge of like.
To be fair, Justin, you and I have been brothers for as long as I've been alive.
But the point of the matter is that it was difficult to try to keep a consistent character with people that you have performed with and lived with like that long. So I think that was the challenge. I think that honestly, finding the character voice itself and just like leaning into it was really huge for me, I should say. Not everybody's as enthusiastic about character voices as I am, but it was really huge for me to help.
Now, I know you can. Justin does character voices, and I do character choices. But I think to that point,
I do those too.
Okay. I think to your point, though, to the question, I think that it's like a lot of things, right? Like letting yourself dance or do karaoke. Like these things where it's like, I'm going to feel goofy doing this. And you do at first. But once you kind of like step over the threshold and start doing it, you actually find that you have way more fun than when you're not doing it. Like there is definitely like a crossing a boundary of like, I guess I have to let myself feel a little silly now, but then it fades away so quickly and gives way to like, oh, this is nothing, this is great. This is very fun. And I think once you do and start like thinking in character and saying stuff like, I don't think my character would do that, and using a character voice, that's what the experience, that's what's different from just like sitting around playing a board game, is like creating a story. So just like do it, because who's gonna make fun of you? You're sitting around playing D&D.
Oh no! There will be people. There will be people who could make fun of you, but don't worry about those people.
Don't invite one token jock.
Yeah.
A lot of D&D groups make that mistake. They invite one jock over
because they think they're gonna have the Freaks and Geeks conversion of like, oh no, I really like.
I guess I see how cool this is the whole time.
Oh, too new.
Quite a few people asking about what some of your favorite games are this year. What are some standouts?
Yeah, I mean, Zelda's probably the best game ever made, Breath of the Wild. I struggled with that sort of realization for a bit. I think we just submitted our votes for the preliminary GOTY rundowns. I'm trying to recall. Mario is also very good.
Mario's good. I also really like Destiny 2. It was the first time I played a lot of MMORPGs, and Destiny 2 was the first time I ever actually liked grouping with people. And
PUBG is definitely should be up there on anybody's list. That game is a masterpiece.
I can also say, and this is dorky, but I got one of the Super Nintendo Classics, and I started playing like Secret of Mana and like Star Fox again, and I was like, oh, these are still the best games.
Secret of Mana are still incredible. Secret of Mana can't be your 2017 game of the year.
I know, but it just reminds me of like, oh yeah, these are still amazing.
Cool. All right.
Justin doesn't like.
Justin doesn't like video games.
I'm more of a books guy.
All right. Well,
Poirot is my game of the year. Poirot books are my GOTY.
Okay. Let's. You guys are busy guys. Let's close this off with some advice. Hello, brothers. I bought a fancy bar of scented soap several months ago. I didn't try it until recently, and after using it a couple times, I realized I didn't like it. I have a friend who I know would love the smell, and I'm thinking about offering it to them. But I want to know if this is acceptable. My friend seems to be split right down the middle on this. For reference, despite it being a shower soap, the soap never touched any part of my body except my hands.
I've been in the game for 7 years, okay? No. You get a sense about these things. I don't need to hear any more corollary. The answer is no.
Unless you have access to like a high quality printer, and you could make a new like container, a new box that's just like Jeremy's great soap, Jeremy's great new soap for Jeremy, and maybe you take a little knife and you carve like. I'm assuming your friend's name is Jeremy. Jeremy into the top of it. You're like, it's this new service, custom soaps.
And you invent a time travel degenitalization laser that removes not just the fact that your genitals have been placed on the soap, but like that you ever did. Like it would need to transit through time.
They did say in the question they had not touched any part of their body, but
that's a lie.
Other than their hand.
The problem is that's a lie.
They say
dump it out of the box and then look at it on the counter, and then smell it, and then somehow get it back in the packaging without touching it. That's ridiculous. And since I know that you lied about that, where does the lie stop? And it probably doesn't stop at your genitals.
There is no amount of money a bar of soap could cost me that I would feel like I was wasting it instead of lying to a friend and telling them it hadn't touched my genitals. Just
okay. Well, that's your answer. No. Just keep the soap, you cheap bastard.
No, throw it away. If you don't like it, throw it away.
You just did a cuss.
I'm
I think he said bustard.
Thank you.
That's what you guys yourself, right? Bustards?
Yeah.
Nothing but a bunch of bustards.
Thank you to the three of you for calling today.
I like that because it has buzz and turd in it. It's like a real slam dunk.
Thank you so much, brothers.
Do you want to tell everybody where they can find you? Twitter, internets, Facebooks, I don't know.
Every year.
For
20 minutes.
Yep. And that's it. Then you
It
go back.
makes me feel good.
You go back to your house.
If you go to McElroyshows.com, you can find a link to everything. We do a bunch of stuff, and between videos and podcasts, you can find all our Twitter and all that stuff at McElroyshows.com.
Anything new coming up pretty soon here, or?
Oh, Death Blart 3.
Yeah.
God, I have to watch Paul Blart Mall Cop 2 tomorrow.
Yeah. We do an annual review show with the worst idea of all time, two guys from New Zealand that will be in Huntington for me to pick them up in 1 hour. And we're going to record, we do an annual review of Paul Blart Mall Cop 2 called Till Death Do Us Blart. And it's the first ever annual Eternal podcast because we each have the person who will take our place if we die picked that our spot will be passed on to. So the show will continue in perpetuity.
Who has your spots? Who are your three there?
Mine is Stuart Wellington from the Flophouse podcast.
Good choice. Good choice.
I haven't picked mine because I'm 30 and I don't want to think about my own mortality. But I'll get there.
Understandable.
Mine is my daughter. She's almost 4, and I think that it's the most beautiful legacy that I can leave.
Awesome.
I just looked at my child and she got very scared. You're fine, honey. I went, no, that's not true. I made her watch it with me last year.
It was the first movie she ever watched.
The first time my daughter ever watched was Paul Blart Mall Cop 2.
You monster.
No.
You
What have
monster.
I done?
What a monster.
All right. Thank you all so much, really much, for calling in. Really appreciate it. We'll see you next year.
See you next year.
See ya.
Bye, everybody.
McElroy.
All right.
What nice boys.
What nice,
nice boys.
Yay!
76,
wholesome boys.
76 comments in that damn thread right now. I'm like, I can't ask all these questions. This is insane. There were a lot of really great questions. I apologize if I didn't get to yours, which is very likely. But I think that was a really fun conversation. And yeah, we'll hopefully see them back next year. I would be 100% okay with that being a yearly call.